Hi everyone, I'm Ornella Hernandez with Web3 TV, and I am in Hong Kong today for day 2 of the WOW Summit. I'm here with one of the attendees, Bundeep from Fineqia International. How are you today?
Well, yeah, fantastic to be here. Thanks so much.
Is it your first time at the WOW Summit?
First time at the WOW Summit in Hong Kong, for sure, yes.
And what do you think about it so far?
It's very elaborate, very big, great venue, lots of people. Yeah, it's buzzing.
I know that you were a speaker not too long ago. You were up on stage. Can you give us a few takeaways from your speech up there?
I was talking about the convergence of artificial intelligence and blockchain, and how blockchain creates a perfect repository of data that ultimately AI needs to harness to create predictive algorithms that are to our benefit. So the interaction between the two and the interplay of the two is actually very powerful. And we're seeing a whole bunch of startups come up in that space. In fact, we're coining the term Web 4.0 as the interplay between artificial intelligence and various existing tech stacks, including blockchain, but also IoT and augmented reality, and I think soon quantum computing. So AI is the common thread for Web 4.0.
Okay, but are we there yet? From the people that I've talked to, some saying we're still in Web 2.5, others Web 3. So what's it going to take for us to get to Web 4?
You know, if you think about the companies that'll become the big titans of the industry in 7-8 years from now, they're being thought about now. They're being germinated now, right? You want to go to Google when the kids were at Stanford thinking about it. And at the time, if you told somebody, here's the internet search engine, they'd be like, what's the internet? So in a bit of deja vu, we always seem to repeat. It's like innovator's dilemma, right? If you ask people before, if you wanted it, they'll be, we don't know about it. Once you introduce them to it, they're like, how can we live without it? So we think that Web 4.0 is coming. And rather than wait for it to be in our rearview mirror, we're looking at them and saying, let's look at the startups that are really combining this very powerful AI technology with existing stacks and building product for purpose, and not a build and they shall come, but build because it's required.
Okay, so what is Fineqia's role within the Web 4 ecosystem, and what exactly are you doing to prep for that evolution?
So Fineqia has a VC arm. It's called Glass Ventures. And Glass Ventures is the first venture capital firm focused on Web 4.0. That's not to say we don't do Web 3, not to say we don't do Web 2.5, but you're seeing a combination of risk strategies being applied in our space with venture. You're looking at higher risk startups in Web 4.0, where it's binary. It could be 1,000x or 0, or something in between. And you're seeing Web 3 companies which are now highly de-risked. They've got traction, they've got perhaps a profitability, or certainly path to profitability with revenue traction. So you may not be 1,000x return, you might get 20x, but less chances of them failing. So you're looking at a hybrid strategy of growth companies in Web 3, perhaps Web 2.5, and then the higher risk ones in Web 4, where you might get exponential returns or 0. So it's that combo that we're focusing on with Glass Ventures.
Okay, I see. So then how would you rate the Web 3 or just the blockchain technology industry in general right now? Like, how would you assess it? What grade would you give it? If you guys are already looking so far ahead in the future, like, what are you seeing now that needs to change?
Yeah, I think there's probably like 2-3 things that are at the kind of inflection point of the industry. So first of all, I think we're definitely in this like 12-18 month kind of, call it a bull run or upcycle. And this might be the last time to get exponential returns on Web3 companies. I think after this, it becomes more incremental returns because there's a maturity that takes place in the industry. This is probably the last big one where a lot of companies will still get funded with that high exponential growth possibility. The second thing is, I think we have a lot more integrity in the system. There's been too many questionable characters, shall we see, or questionable practices. And I believe that the combination of some of those actors being punished and regulations taking not only more hold, but providing more clarity is very healthy for the industry. So there's a flight to quality as much as there's an advent of quantity that we haven't seen in the past. And third thing I'd say is that some centers in the world are becoming these poles of attraction to bring about both the innovation and the capital that's required for that health ecosystem.
You mean geographically?
Geographically, right? So while the US, I believe, is taking more of a ultra-conservative approach on many things, it gives a chance for other centers to flourish. So Hong Kong is taking a very aggressive stance towards becoming a hub for digital assets. So is, to some extent, Singapore or Tokyo. In the Middle East, Dubai and Abu Dhabi are bringing centers for that too. And in Europe, with MiCA legislation, there's a lot more clarity. And I think the industry, I've listened to a lot of the talks here, and this is a sentiment that's echoed across multiple conferences I've been to. This industry wants regulation. Like, I've never been to a conference where there have been so many people saying, we want regulation, we want to be regulated. Like, most people want to be outside of the periphery of regulation, not inviting the regulations. And in our case, we want it because that engenders trust. And one of the things about Fineqia is that we're a listed company in Canada. So the listing gives transparency, it gives governance. We have regulatory oversight in Canada, the UK, in Europe. And therefore, people look at it as a trusted counterparty. And that's hugely important in an industry which is still somewhat translucent, shall we say.
I was going to say yesterday, actually, I spoke to someone who literally told me, fuck regulation. And it's like, okay, but you're right. I think it's a matter of trust, really, and that lack of trust that we have, even though we're calling all of our applications trustless applications. So there definitely needs to be some more work done around that. But Bundeep, one last thing. Since we are at the WOW Summit, I've been asking everyone to recall a significant or important moment in their lives, a WOW moment that you would tokenize and put on chain as an NFT if you could. What would that memory be? Could be in your personal life or your professional life. Something you can say on camera, please.
Yeah, put the filter on. So this would be a visual piece.
Yeah, it could be visual, it could be text, whatever you want, just something that will live forever on chain.
Yeah, okay. So my family's Sikh, and one of the most powerful experiences I have had is to go to the Golden Temple at 4 a.m. when they bring the Holy Book, and it's a combination of a ceremony which treats the Holy Book as a living guru. The guru in Sanskrit means the enlightener. Guru is darkness, guru is light. And at that time of dawn, you're going from darkness to light. And it's a lot of pomp and show. There's musical instruments played, a crowd that's very selective, and it's this twilight time. If that can be captured, and the sound patterns can be translated via AI, for example, onto a visual NFT to echo the multiplicity of sensory inputs you get when you're there. Audio, visual, ambience, the spirituality of it. If we can find a way to embody that spiritual experience in an NFT, that would be phenomenal.
I love that. Let's try and figure out a way to do that. Thank you so much for your time today, Bundeep.
Thank you so much.